Acronyms are used quite frequently in the United States Army, and if you don't know what the hell an acronym ends up standing for or what the hell it means, it leads to some confusion. So these are 10 acronyms that I definitely recommend that if you're joining the Army or you're early in your Army career, you need to know these. What's up, my friends? U.S. Army veteran Christopher Chaos, and today I'm going to help you out with 10 acronyms that are very common that you're going to need to know early in your Army career before you join, whatever the case might be, so that way you know what the hell they're talking about when someone uses this acronym. Now, if you don't even know what an acronym is, well then I guess you got some homework to do and you need to go research that first before you're ready for this video. But if you're ready for this video to learn about the Army, especially acronyms in this case, then great, we can kind of get started. But before we do, if this is the type of content you want to learn about because you want to join the Army, maybe you're currently in the Army, maybe you're a veteran like myself and you just like to hear about things Army, so make sure you subscribe to the channel then. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers before the end of this year. I can't do it without your help, so help me get there. Make sure you click on the bell to get alerts as soon as the videos go live, to include the live streams and become a part of that awesome notification platoon. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about these 10 common acronyms. The first one is BCT. That stands for Basic Combat Training. So sometimes you may hear that, hey, you're getting ready to ship off to BCT. Maybe you're gonna, go to MEPS and they're talking about it in that acronym kind of term, BCT. That stands for Basic Combat Training. That is just basic training, right? Your initial training you go through for a lot of MOSs to learn the basic fundamentals of being a soldier. For some individuals, they won't do basic combat training, they will do OSIT. OSIT stands for One Station Unit Training. This is the type of training that like 11 Bravos, 11 Charlies, your MPs, certain other MOSs, your 19 Kilos, a couple others that go through this specific type of training, and you're just gonna go through that same initial training, but with other people that are of that same MOS. So that is a difference. If you are looking to go like 11 Bravo and you're telling people that you're shipping off to basic training, I mean, some people are understanding, what the hell you mean, but technically you're not going to basic training, you're going to OSIT. Now, for people that do go through basic training or even OSIT, there is a certain point in their career where they go to AIT. AIT stands for Advanced Individual Training. So if you're someone that went through basic training, then after you're completed with basic training, then you go off to your AIT. So for example, I was an 88 Mike, so when I was done with basic training, I went off to AIT in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and I learned about driving trucks. Technically, even if you're doing like OSIT, there is like an AIT phase, so you do all that basic training type of stuff in OSIT, and then in a different phase of OSIT, there is AIT. So you still have advanced individual training that focuses on whatever your job is for the Army. I think I actually already said it earlier possibly, but the acronym MOS, Military Occupational Specialty. That is your military job. In the Army, everybody has an MOS or a military occupational specialty or a job, right? If you're at 11 Bravo, that's an MOS. If you're an 88 Mike, that's an MOS. If you're a 19 Kilo, that's an MOS, and so on and so forth. So when they talk about those letter designators, that is specifying the specific MOS to specify the specific job. So that is an MOS. If you are a married soldier or even an officer, you'll receive what is called BAH and BAS. First one, BAH, that is Basic Allowance for Housing. So if you're a married soldier or you're an officer, you receive this extra money that is based on where you are assigned to help pay for cost of living. So that way you can pay rent, you can pay utilities, all that kind of thing. So BAH is based on where you're located at. So it will fluctuate if you go to Fort Carson compared to go to Fort Hood. Based on the cost of living in the area, it does fluctuate, but that is what BAH is the cost of living, the basic allowance for housing. Then there's BAS, which kind of goes along with the BAH. BAS stands for Basic Allowance for Subsistence. This is like a food allowance, right? So this is money for just the soldiers, so it does not fluctuate based on how many children you have or where you're living or anything like that like BAH does. BAS is one set rate no matter where you're stationed at. It is different for officers and for enlisted soldiers, but this is the extra allowance to allow you to go buy food off post, buy food in the commissary, whatever the case might be. Technically, single soldiers also get BAS, but it gets taken away. So you may see that like on your pay stub where it shows you got BAS and then it was just taken away. It's just kind of how the system works. They just, I think maybe to make it easier, everybody gets BAS and then they just take it away from the single soldiers, but technically single soldiers don't get BAS. The next acronym you might hear, especially if you get stationed overseas for your first duty assignment, is COLA. That stands for Cost of Living Allowance, and essentially is what that means is if you're maybe stationed overseas somewheres and the cost of living is different in that country compared to the United States, then they may offset some things by paying you extra to kind of help with that offset. So especially like if milk is more expensive in, let's say, Germany compared to the United States, that's kind of what that COLA is for, is to kind of offset things a little bit, pay you a little bit extra because things are more expensive in that country compared to what they would be if you were stationed in the United States. So you receive COLA, and you may see that on your pay stub in your allowance and your paycheck to get a little bit extra pay based on kind of that living area. Then there's CAC. That stands for Common Access Card. Sometimes you hear people still call it a CAC card, which technically is redundant because that's basically a Common Access Card. But CAC card, your CAC, that is your ID card. You usually don't need to necessarily like memorize what that acronym stands for. It's pretty easy to memorize anyways. But if someone says, hey, you got to go over here to go get your CAC, that means you're going to get your ID card. Or, hey, I need to see your CAC. That means they want to see your ID card. Sometimes they just call it an ID card too, so that's pretty common too. But sometimes you may hear people call it the CAC. Some people just simply call it your military ID or your ID card. Another common acronym is NTC, which stands for National Training Center. I bring this one up because it's pretty common that you may show up to your first duty assignment and they'll be like, oh, we're getting ready to head to NTC here in a month, and you may have no idea what that really means. But that means you're going to the National Training Center, which is located at Fort Irwin, California, and that is a month-long training in the desert environment. So it's probably good to know what the hell that means, knowing that you're about to take off to the field for a month right out the gate, and that happens pretty commonly, or sometimes within a few months of you getting to your first duty assignment as the National Training Center, NTC, is a pretty common rotation that a lot of units do. Now the 10th one that I've got inside of here is CIF, which stands for Central Issuing Facility. When you show up to your very first duty assignment, they're probably gonna tell you, hey, you're gonna be going off to CIF. That means you're going off to a building that's on that installation. This is where you get all of your Army gear, your helmet, your vest, whatever gear that you're gonna be issued to you, you're gonna get that from CIF. Kind of like a bonus one, your equipment is called TA50. So if you ever hear that acronym, that's kind of like a bonus acronym here, but you go to CIF to receive your TA50 or your Army gear. TA50 actually stands for something, but you really don't necessarily need to know that one. It stands for Table of Allowance 50. There's like these different tables of allowances, and table 50 references your commonly issued gear, but that's probably just extra knowledge for you that probably never serves a good purpose to you. Now that last acronym that I talked about with the Central Issuing Facility, where you get your TA50 or your Army gear, some of that stuff you get to keep when you get out of the Army. If you want to know about that, I got a video right here that talks about some of the gear you get to keep when you get out of the Army. If you want to check out my latest video upload, maybe you missed it, I got it available for you right here. Check out the links down in the description box for social media, for my website, for some affiliate links to help support the channel. Thanks for hanging out, thanks for watching. I'm Christopher Chaos, and I'll see you next time. See ya.